Hello everybody. Tesla has recently announced that they are laying off 10% of its workforce, which is 14,000 employees.
Tesla's cutting more than 10,000 jobs.
10% cut in Tesla's workforce.
And the bigger concern is, it's not that Elon Musk is ever straightforward with these kind of news. So we really don't know if it is 14,000 or 28,000 or the right number. And the unfortunate thing is, typically whenever layoffs are announced, the overall stock price of that company increases. But in this situation, the stock prices have also went down in the last 1 week.
Tesla shares are down again.
Well, they have certainly struggled so far.
Now, the reason is, typically whenever there are layoffs, the expectation is that the productivity would improve, the profits of the company would improve, etc., etc. But in this situation, the Tesla's fundamental strategy itself is not very clear. It is not just about the 14,000 layoffs, but it is also about two of its senior executives also leaving the company. That is one of the primary reasons why the stock price of Tesla has also fallen down. Now, why did these senior leaders leave? There is typically a history with this particular organization and even with Musk that there is always arguments around what is the strategic direction that the company is looking forward to take. In this scenario, it looks very likely that Tesla is not going to enter into the mass market for the electric vehicles anytime soon, which of course restricts its market potential. They announced they are going to launch another version of the current electric vehicle, but it's also in the luxury market. Now the question is, would that be enough for Tesla to survive in the long run? Along with, there is more competition from the cost-conscious companies in China. So if we take a step back and understand, there are three primary reasons. Number one, the senior executives left. Number two, 14,000 jobs is not a small number, and that itself is unclear if that's going to be the final number. And number three, the strategy is also very unclear. So rough waters for Tesla. And add on top of this, EV market itself is not growing as anticipated. Now moving into the second segment of the video, which is what's happening with Google. Google announced another round of layoffs, which is very strange for a company of that stature. But you need to understand, this is the first time in their history in the last 2 decades that Google is really facing some stiff competition. For the last 2 decades, it was always about, if you are looking forward to advertise in the digital space, Google is your go-to person. But now, things are changing. Amazon picked up. Amazon Marketplace has a wonderful ad supporting ecosystem. Instagram has picked up. Now, not just all of these, but Google is also facing competitive pressure from the AI perspective. So if the coming generation search engines are more AI embedded, in that scenario, how does Google fare? That's a big question mark. You talk to any senior executive in Google, it is very apparent that the atmosphere is pretty tensed. And that's the reason why they are doing layoffs, primarily in the headquarters, and they are saying that the jobs will move to Atlanta, Dublin, Chicago, and even Bangalore office. But it doesn't mean great news for employees in India who are looking forward to join Google. Because whenever these kind of layoffs happen in the headquarters and there are new positions that are opening up in the rest of the world, it simply means that they are taking over somebody else's work and they are still reporting to Silicon Valley headquarters. And the person sitting over there feels quite unsettled that, hey, in a low-cost country, somebody has replaced my colleague that I used to work in Silicon Valley. That's not a great feeling to have on day one in your job. So it's not just about new jobs, but the overall culture itself would be impacted to a large extent. We will have to see if Google can really overcome all these competitors and how it moves forward. But again, taking a step back, typically every single company has a life cycle, and in a few decades time, the companies do die down. It's a very natural process. Just that more innovation and more risk taking could lead to better products, and it could push the company for few more decades. But for employees though, for a company which is already in the struggle phase, it's not such a good news. And hence, you as an employee also need to be aware about what's going on in the market and see what are the other alternatives for you. Now, the third interesting thing that I also want to touch about is that Apple's iPhone sales have come down.
There's bad news for Apple.
Staggering 10% drop in its smartphone sales last quarter.
It's the biggest drop that we've seen, in fact, since COVID-19.
The prediction is that the iPhone sales in the last 3 months, Jan, Feb, March 2024, they have dropped down by 10% compared to 2023's same 3 months. Now this is huge because for Apple, iPhone sales is the largest revenue maker. And if iPhone sales are dropping down, remember, it's not like Tesla scenario where the entire electric vehicle segment itself is going down. The smartphone sales are increasing, but still Apple sales are going down. Samsung is taking over a lot of share. Again, similar struggles over there, that Apple has not been at the forefront of AI revolution. And that is one of the reasons why the investors are not too confident on how Apple would go ahead and tackle this entire uncertainty. It is not just about Apple, right? If you look at it, both Tesla and Apple, there are a lot of similarities. They are both consumer-facing technology companies to start with. And the global macro uncertainty, these are to an extent luxury players in their own fields. So the interest rate still being high, a lot of consumer technology companies are facing the heat. So it's not just about these two companies laying off employees, but that luxury segment of consumer-facing companies, they are all facing the heat right now. I hope this makes sense to you and you can connect the dots between the different news and how multiple companies which are in wide variety of industries are facing exactly similar battles because of similar macroeconomic situations. Do let me know if you could find some value in this video and I'll try to add more such videos going forward. See you guys. Bye bye.